This is the Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene.
You look at my numbers, I'm balling.
Beer City's best sports talk is on the air. Get involved. Call 252-4348. Tweet the show at SportsTankESPN. The Sports Tank. Come get you some of this.
Can't wait.
It's ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. The Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene, brought to you everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, live or on demand. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene, and we are live in the Ingles studio. Check out our friends at Ingles-markets.com. And, of course, low prices, love the savings. What? You looked like you wanted to say something there. Go ahead and get it out.
I'm not going to lie. I'm watching the golf.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Sorry. There's a couple groups still left on the course. So you may or may not get my best effort for the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, come on, Jeremy.
I've been up since 4:30 this morning.
I get it. You are so locked into the Open Championship that you just can't peel yourself away. But we ask you to do that for the next 2 hours.
Well, you thought my face was to something you were saying.
Right.
What my face was doing had nothing to do with anything you just said.
Okay.
I'm waiting to see if Patrick Reed could please just birdie a hole, please.
See, this is the downside of wagering on sports, is it doesn't go your way, it just kind of ruins your whole day.
It doesn't ruin my day. I played 10 guys. Combined, I have 9 guys in the top 70.
That's pretty good.
As of right now, they would all make the cut except for one. It's the one that I need to make one putt. Just one. Just so I know you can. I just want to know that you can actually make a putt.
Right.
Would do a lot for my psyche going into tomorrow.
It seems to have been a very difficult afternoon for the golfers out there at Royal St. George. The morning went pretty well, as you had, Louis Oosthuizen and Jordan Spieth and Dylan Fratelli. I know that's still a sore spot for you.
I don't want to hear that name again.
But you had a lot of guys putting up some good scores today. I mean, Louis Oosthuizen is the leader in the clubhouse at 6 under. Brian Harmon, Jordan Spieth at 5 under. The only people to kind of touch that in the afternoon session is Benjamin Hebert. He was
very good.
He's been the best scorer of the afternoon with a 66, so he's 4 under for the day, for the opening round of the Open Championship. Webb Simpson, did he tee off this morning, or was he in the afternoon?
He was in the later session, but he was very early. Basically, the later you teed off, the worse you are.
Right.
Unfortunately, if you teed off early today, you tee off late tomorrow.
Right.
And the weather's going to be exactly the same tomorrow.
But my question is, what's the difference? Why does the golf course play differently in the morning than it does in the afternoon? Is it all about the moisture on the grass and the dew from the day? And
it's exactly what it is.
The course gets harder, or the greens get harder as the day goes on and it dries out. That's what the deal is.
It's very fickle grass. So it's very fine cut. It's not like the grass in your yard. Unless you wind up where Bryson DeChambeau was for much of the day, then it's a lot like the grass in your yard.
Right.
Especially if you haven't mowed it in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, as the day goes on, the dew burns off. And I mean, just think about it. All right, so it hasn't rained in a couple days. You've got dew on the ground, which makes the ground much softer.
Yeah.
Well, as the heat of the day comes, and there hasn't been much sun, but there's been a lot of wind. So as the sun and wind and all of those things come along, it burns all that off, and then you just have a parking lot.
Sun comes along and dried up all the rain. We heard that one in preschool.
Yeah, for the itty-bitty spider.
Yeah.
I remember that spider.
Only I killed that spider.
I don't mind spiders.
Wait. You're afraid of squirrels, afraid of birds, afraid of snakes.
Nope.
No. Not snakes and spiders, but birds and squirrels. That's a bridge too far. By the way, I do have to ask you, did you see the Facebook post from Brian Hall's golf outing yesterday?
I did not.
Brian Hall went golfing down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and apparently there were, I forget what it was. It was wolf squirrels, I think.
That's a terrifying. That's two terrifying words put right beside each other.
He just posted this picture of like a black squirrel with a little white patch on his face, and I think it was called like a wolf squirrel or something. And I was like, yeah, dude, that's not a course Jeremy's going to be playing on anytime soon.
I've had nightmares just like that.
Well, what it reminded me of is like the face paint of the guy in The Devil's Rejects, where he had the skull painted on his face. That was kind of what the squirrel looked like.
Yeah, I don't like any of that. None of that sounded conducive to further happiness.
Right. I don't think they have to worry about squirrels too much at Royal St. George. There are no trees, so I got to imagine the squirrels stay away from the wide open grounds that they're playing on. But it's been a lot of fun keeping up today with the golf over at the Open Championship. Like I said, Louis Oosthuizen sitting on top of the leaderboard. My guy Justin Spieth, who I put on my dart throw board. Second place.
It wasn't a dart throw. He was the most owned guy in DraftKings.
Oh, was he?
Number one.
I didn't even look.
Buy him.
You know me. You were like, oh, we're all putting in lineups for the golf today, and I went, ooh, I know that guy. I don't know that guy, but Jeremy says he's pretty good or going to be good at this course, so I'll put him in there. And then, ooh, I've heard the name Kevin Streelman before. I'll throw him in there.
Yeah, telling me that just makes me angry.
Lo and behold, all my 6 guys are even or better. So I feel pretty good about that.
I pour over research and data, and I have a guy that's 2 over.
Meanwhile, I got 3 guys that are even, 2 guys that are 1 under, and 1 guy sitting in second place at Jordan Spieth at 5 under.
Yeah, see, when you tell me things like that, it's much like when we do brackets in March, and somebody says, I picked based on the mascot, and they beat you.
That's pretty much.
And you're like, oh, I just stopped talking. Congratulations. Enjoy your free hamburger and get away from me.
But yeah, the field will flip tomorrow, and so the guys who teed off in the afternoon will tee off in the morning tomorrow, and vice versa.
Oh yeah, I'll be up at 4:30 again tomorrow.
Will you?
Oh, 100%. Namely because I fell asleep at like 9 last night.
Right.
So you can just assume the accumulation of a day, I'm probably going to be asleep by 8 tonight.
If you were wagering on the Open Championship, I hope you didn't place any doubloons down on the U.S. Open champion from this year. Phil Mickelson has not done well.
Yeah, would you like to hear the list of people behind Phil Mickelson? Would you like to hear it again?
Yeah. He is dead last place, shot an 80 in the first round today. It didn't say that it was his worst opening round of a major championship, but it did say he's the farthest behind in the opening round of a major championship in his career. He's been playing golf for 55 years.
Well, he's only been alive for 51, so that was a little bit of a hyperbole.
I know.
He's 16 shots off the lead.
10 over par. And
it's a bad sign when 156 golfers tee off on a golf course, and 151 of them were 5 shots better than you or more. That's not a good sign.
No, not at all. So there were a lot of people talking about whether or not Phil could make a run at this British.
The answer to that would be a great big nope.
That's actually almost the point where you go, you know what? You guys have fun this weekend. Ankle. My ankle, it hurts.
I brought the wrong hat. I need to fly back to America and get it.
Breaking news, Phil Mickelson has to be quarantined for health and safety reasons.
Oh, don't say that. That's
really.
The one thing
Not really.
That's the one thing that can really screw up this tournament.
Oh, as if somebody
we don't even jest about that. Yeah. This is my favorite tournament of the year. I look forward to this for an extensive period of time. Your boy Bryson, did you hear his fait accompli about how bad he was today?
No.
Yeah, he blamed it on his driver.
Really?
His driver was terrible.
It's too much wobble in the
literally,
driver?
it was. I kept waiting for him to just take it out of the bag and go, "You're a bad driver, bad driver." No, you go that way, not into the weeds.
Bryson's going to rename that driver after Andy, my wife. Just bad driver. Bad driver. She sent me a text message earlier today. She ran over the neighbor's mailbox. So now
again?
No, this was from a few days ago, but she sent me a text message today. Ask around, see if who you can get to fix my mirror. Okay, we'll get it taken care of. Don't worry.
Indeed.
But yeah, that's the way it is. Webb Simpson, like I said, had a pretty good day. 66 at Royal St. George's, the exact same thing he did in the opening round of the 2011 Open Championship. He's 4 under par today. So anyway, we'll keep you up to date on the leaderboard. There's not very many golfers left on the course.
No, we're almost done for the day. And we'll resume tomorrow at 1:35 a.m. I wish more sports would do that.
No.
I'm all the way.
I don't like this at all.
Well, look, if we have to play NBA Finals games tipping off at 9:15, I like this better than that.
Well, I mean, there is a chance that you're going to be up to see the finish of a golf tournament that starts at 1:30 in the morning and ends at 3 in the afternoon. I did not see the finish of last night. I had to rewatch that this morning. Right. The chances of me making it through the fourth quarter of an NBA Finals game is pretty much zero at this point. I've reached that stage in my life where I can just no longer keep my eyes open past 11:30 most nights.
Are you ready to come to my way of thinking?
I'm not coming to your way of thinking.
Well,
the Milwaukee Bucks last night, they evened up the series 2-2. I obviously have to abandon my Suns in 5 statement, but I'm going Suns in 6.
What?
They're going to turn this thing around.
That's wrong. you said Bucks wrong because it's Bucks in 6.
There's no way.
I'll take Milwaukee in 6.
You think they're going to go down to Phoenix on Saturday and beat the Suns?
Tell me what happened last night that could be better for Phoenix.
Chris Paul plays better.
Okay, well, somebody's going to be defended by Drew Holiday, and guess what? Whoever that is, they're not going to be very good. I don't know why I have to explain that, but Drew Holiday just bounces between Chris Paul and Devin Booker.
Yes.
Whoever he guards, it's not going to be good. And you know what they did last night? Devin, you do your worst. You score 400 points if you want to. We don't care. Because you know what we're worried about? The way the ball moves, the way the rotations happen. And they stopped it. Anybody, but Devin Booker was in foul trouble. Okay, when he went out a minute into the fourth quarter, Phoenix was up 5. They were up 3 when he came back in. I'm so sick of hearing but Devin Booker was in foul trouble.
Right. But the idea of, it wasn't the idea that Devin Booker being off the floor changed that much for the Bucks.
Please tell me you're about to say he was limited defensively.
No, it's that he would have had the opportunity to score more.
He's not exactly an aggressive scorer in the first place. He's a shooter.
I don't know.
He doesn't drive to the basket.
Aggressive.
Well, and he was to a point.
He was. I mean, he was backing dudes down to the basket, or not to the basket, but you know what I mean. He lived in the mid range pretty much.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. He hit either no threes last night.
Right.
So.
He was making his shots either at the rim on a drive, or he was backing his guy down and hitting a turnaround jumper from mid range. I don't know. I guess I just never. I don't think I'd ever seen him do that.
Okay.
And score all of his points that way in a game.
All right. Let me phrase this slightly different way. If you told me that the Bucks shot 24% from 3 and 40% from the floor, how many do you think I would have said Phoenix won this game by? 30? Because that's probably close. Well,
Maybe.
they did.
Yeah.
And they still won. But Ayton did score and Chris Paul was good. Yeah, Devin Booker was as good as he could possibly be. Still not enough. And do you know why?
And when you go back home, you go back to Phoenix, those guys are going to play better, right? That was your whole theory with them being in Milwaukee, was that the Milwaukee players are going to play better because they're in their home court. Okay,
and I don't disagree with that at all.
The Suns still haven't lost at home, so we go back home for Game 5.
And the Bucks have completely neutralized DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
He is irrelevant to the offense.
You're right about that.
Jay Crowder put up more shots than him last night.
Right.
And do you know why?
Why?
Because he is the only person that has any shot of stopping Giannis Antetokounmpo. He didn't get in foul trouble last night, and he was still borderline irrelevant. Had a lot of rebounds. He was, fine. He was fine. That's what he is. Let's be really honest. Stars show up in the finals. Giannis showed up.
Yep.
Giannis showed up. Devin Booker showed up. Who's the third best player in the series? It's Chris Middleton. It's Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
And he showed up, and he was fantastic. I told you there was a Chris Middleton game coming, and I was right.
You were right.
It was last night.
You were right.
And I think they go back to Phoenix. They figured a lot of this out. By the way, you're going to see 8 players for both of these teams moving forward because the rotations have been trimmed. There shan't be any more Frank Kaminsky or Bryn Forbes for Milwaukee. We're down to the 8 guys. And 8 guys against 8 guys, I will tell you, I will bet 100 times out of 100, Milwaukee is better than Phoenix. They score more easily than Phoenix does. So, yeah, I'm taking Bucks in 6.
Yeah. I'm not coming off of it. I still think the Suns have a chance. It doesn't look good, obviously, after losing the last 2 and losing them the way they did. Game...
We may have, give me 2 seconds, we may have breaking news.
Oh.
We may have we have breaking news.
Who's gonna break the news? Who's gonna break the news? Who's gonna break the news? Who's gonna break the news?
Ha! This has to do with our hometown Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
This is from Adam Schefter. Panthers and Taylor Moton agreed to a 4-year, $72 million extension with $43 million guaranteed at signing.
Son.
So at least one franchise player got a deal.
There you go.
That is a colossal amount of money.
Giant overpay?
It's a lot.
I mean, I know it's a lot, but he's also the anchor of that offensive line. And look, I've always felt like your offensive line is the backbone of your team. And the offensive line does all the important things. And if you have the ability to lock up players long term on your offensive line, then you just kind of figure out everything else
That
out.
puts him at 3. He's the third highest paid right tackle in the league. He's behind Lane Johnson and Ryan Ramczyk.
Well, I hope that works out better than the Lane Johnson deal has.
Lane Johnson's been fine.
Yeah,
when he's been
hurt.
I mean,
he's been hurt.
I got to say, good on Carolina. You got your guy.
Yep.
A lot of teams, mine included, have tried to nickel and dime their franchise guys. And now I'm not going to lie and say that I'm not devastated about the Marcus May thing. There's tape that would lend that he probably did not deserve to be the most highly paid safety in the league. Taylor Moton he's one of the 5 best players for the Carolina Panthers. You lock that guy up, you protect Sam Darnold. I don't have a qualm with it. It's a lot of money. It's going to hurt for a year.
What'd you say, 4 years,
72 with 43 guaranteed.
Okay.
That's a big deal. But I'm okay with it. I'm a fan of taking care of your players.
Yes. I'm a big fan of especially taking care of your big players.
Especially young guys. And Taylor Moton is a young guy.
Right. And by big players, I mean big stature players. You need to have the guys to protect your most valuable assets. And right now, what are their most valuable assets? Christian McCaffrey. You dumped a lot of money into him, and you got to keep him healthy. So you got to have that guy, that road grader that's going to open up lanes. You're going to have to take care of your quarterback as well that you're getting ready to sign. Because they already picked up the 5th-year option on Sam, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they're going to pay him $20-something million next year. And they'll probably end up giving him an extension because I am still of the belief that the Carolina Panthers are going to get the better out of that deal. The deal that they made with the Jets, sending the draft capital to the New York Jets and getting Sam Darnold back, I still believe they're going to get the better part of that deal.
I mean, Moton had a great year last year. He's a very good player. I did not know this is a stat that almost blows my mind that it's true. Right tackle is the position that has seen the biggest increase in the amount of growth that the top 5 players at the position earned since 2017 Pro Football Focus. Their salaries have gone up 73%.
Wow.
In 4 years. Right tackle's becoming a premium position. I know a lot of Panther fans are going to hear this number and go, that's too much to pay a right tackle. It's really not. And I'm not going to say I would have thought that when I read it. When I saw it, I went, that's a lot. Yeah. And then the more I started thinking about it, no, that's I'm okay with that.
I am too. Your bookends and your center. Those are the three positions on the offensive line where I go, you should have not necessarily a blank check, but you should be able to solidify a really good offensive line with those three positions being highly paid.
And see, I put guard ahead of center.
Why?
Depends on how your team plays. If you're a zone blocking team, guard is just vitally important. That's the pull guy. That's the guy that gets out in front of the run game. But yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. Now that I've sounded it through in my head because it broke literally as I said, oh,
right,
because I didn't realize I had said that until you looked at me and I went, oh, that wasn't in my head like it was supposed to be.
Well, congratulations to the Carolina Panthers. Congratulations to Taylor Moton for getting his bag. And, Carolina Panther fans, you should be very, very happy that he has been sewn up now. The 4-year deal, $72 million, $43 million guaranteed for Taylor Moton with the Carolina Panthers. Got more football coming up over the next hour and a half of the program here. We're going to just sprinkle in spicy hot takes for the 2021 NFL season. I have a feeling Jeremy's going to scream at me. It's going to be.
I am, because you made me angry at 10 o'clock this morning, which was like lunchtime for me. Now it's almost my bedtime, and I'm getting angrier by the hour.
Stay tuned on ESPN Asheville. The 2021 NFL football season is just days away. Training camps open up next week. 6 days away from the first two training camps opening up. And, so, Jeremy, do you want to make your first spicy hot 2021 NFL prediction here?
I do.
Okay.
If you listen to the Sportsocracy weekdays, 10 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube Live, find us on all the social medias at the Sportsocracy. You would already know what I'm getting ready to say. And that is the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to finish 2021 better than the Cleveland Browns.
Which I can't wrap my head around. I don't see it. I don't see it. As I said in the last segment, I think the offensive line is a big part of your team as an NFL team, and the Pittsburgh Steelers don't have one that I believe in.
Well, let's play a fun game with Pittsburgh, shall we?
Okay.
Mike Tomlin's been the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers for 14 years. This will be number 15. How many losing records does he have?
3.
0. How many times has he not won double-digit games?
3.
5. They've won 8 or 9 games 5 times.
Oh, okay. So they've been middle of the road, but never had a losing record.
Nope. Double-digit wins 9 of 14 years. And I won't be shocked if they do it again. The defense is very, very good. Still very good. You still have one of the best pass rushers in the league. I still believe in the scheme and the way they draft. And at the end of the day, they were 24th in yards per game last year.
Yes,
the offense was not this juggernaut that everybody makes it out to be. They were the worst rushing team in the league by a lot. Well, guess what? They did something to address that. They brought in one of my favorite running backs in the draft in the 10 years I've been doing this.
And you think based on scheme alone, Najee Harris
is just better than James Conner. He's better than Anthony McFarland. He's better than anybody else that you're going to list me off. And at the end of the day, I get Ben Roethlisberger, you get Baker Mayfield. I like my chances. And when I told you this morning, the first thing you said was, they're going to scheme around Baker. No, they're not. They're going to try, but you're bringing a knife to a gunfight because their schedule is brutal.
You're talking about the Browns.
Yes.
The Browns,
because you can't trot out and plan to rush the ball 45 times against the Kansas City Chiefs because every time they touch the ball, they're probably going to score. And if they don't, there's not going to be a lot of 3 and outs. So, I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's fine.
Right.
But I go into seasons, and there are about 5 things that really matter to me. Your coach is one. I'll take Mike Tomlin over Kevin Stefanski. I like Stefanski. I think he's a good young coach. At the end of the day, I like Tomlin better. Much more of a track record. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the NFL. I've never understood why there's such a large amount of Steelers fans that don't like him.
It's because they believe he should have done better. He could have done better with Ben Roethlisberger than he has. He's only got 1 Super Bowl.
Well, they're almost inarguably the most consistent team in the league.
Yes. But I think that's what's maddening for Steelers fans, is that we're constantly a double-digit win team. We just can't get over the hump to win more Super Bowls. And they're mad now, even madder than they were last year, now that Tom Brady has as many Super Bowl rings as the entire organization of the Pittsburgh Steelers does. They feel like they should be better. That's the big knock on Mike Tomlin, is that they feel that they have been on the doorstep, and whether it be controversial calls late in games, play calls by Mike Tomlin, that things could have gone differently. Mm-hmm. It's that wishing and hoping and searching thing. I don't disagree that Mike Tomlin's a great coach. I don't disagree that Ben Roethlisberger is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield.
Who has better weapons? It's Pittsburgh. It's Pittsburgh. Yeah. It's Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Now, you can argue with me. There's a wrong side of every argument. If you want to be on it, more power to you.
I mean, we went over this morning. I think the running backs are better. Cleveland's
by the way, I don't dispute that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that I get 3 receivers that would be ones on practically every team in the NFL.
I'm not that big of a believer in Deontay Johnson.
No, you're wrong. He's super talented.
Mm-hmm.
If he had been drafted by practically any other team in the NFL, he would at worst be the 2. He's their 3.
Right.
I'm of the belief I think he's better than Juju Smith-Schuster, but that's just me.
Okay. I understand that a lot of people believe in Deontay Johnson. A lot of people believe in James Washington, even.
I didn't even go that far.
I know you didn't.
Yeah, he's the
far.
4. Mm-hmm. That's funny. It is hilarious to me. That's their 4.
I mean,
he's a 2 on half the teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I'll give them the edge on the wide receivers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And tight ends.
No,
they have better
not
tight ends. I would rather have Ebron and Pat Fryermuth than I would Austin Hooper.
And David Njoku. And
David Njoku is
Harrison
completely
Bryant.
irrelevant. Harrison Bryant's the 2. David Njoku's not going to be on this team.
Oh, they're going to cut him?
I think they're going to trade him. And they've been trying to trade him for 2 solid years.
I was getting ready to say, I've been
notice that nobody
that.
has taken the bait on that. There's a reason for that. Super athletic.
Right. Can't catch?
No,
is that your argument?
There's a lot of bad tape on him. There's a lot of tape where he seems to be disinterested. Not lost, disinterested.
Okay.
Oh, this play's not coming to me? Okay, I'm going to halfway run my route, and then I'm just going to stand here.
Ah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's why he fell out of favor there.
Yeah. No, I like the tight ends better in Cleveland. I like the running backs better in Cleveland, and I don't think that it's that far off of a comparison with the wide receivers.
There's a good distance, but at the end of the day,
with the caveat that Odell Beckham Jr. can be healthy this year and be better.
And not make Baker Mayfield worse, which he has done since he's been in Cleveland.
He has indeed, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But first, let's get just a bit outside.
The Sports Tank.
Just a bit outside.
All right, here's the 411, folks.
Now, we're coming up pretty close on the Tokyo Olympics. Everything supposed to get started here in 8 days. And today it's being reported that Tokyo has a 6-month high right now in coronavirus cases. Begging the question, once again, we're going to continue to have this fight until the opening ceremonies. Until the opening ceremonies happen, you're going to have people saying, oh, we shouldn't have the Olympics right now. That's not my call. That's way above my pay grade. I'm not the one. But everybody that is involved in making this decision in Tokyo is, no, we've already delayed it a year. We're going to do this. We already have the athletes in town, most of them anyway, and we're not going to back off on this. Not everybody's in town, though. Drew Holiday, Devin Booker, those guys still playing in the NBA Finals, and they're supposed to join Team USA at some point. They got some bad news today. Bradley Beal is going to miss the Tokyo Olympics because of health and safety protocols. And also, Jeremy Grant has now entered the health and safety protocols.
That's out of an abundance of caution. Everything I've heard is that's just being safe.
Mm-hmm. There is hope that Jeremy Grant is going to be able to clear the protocols in time to fly to Tokyo to be involved in the Olympic Games. But losing Bradley Beal is going to hurt. Although
Zach LaVine's been good in that role.
That's
who would fill that role.
I was going to say, although maybe with the struggles that they've had of figuring out who's got the shot and who doesn't, maybe taking a superstar off of this roster wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Well, you also get Drew Holiday and Devin Booker back as soon as the finals are over.
Mm-hmm.
So just, if you were going to lose a guy, you don't ever want to lose a guy, and it's very sad that Bradley Beal's not going to be able to appear in the Olympics.
Yes.
But if you were going to lose a guy, that is a position that there is a considerable amount of depth.
Well, they didn't do a whole lot to put big guys on this team. They went for the shooters. They went for the scorers.
Well, they should.
Really?
I mean,
you don't think that they should have put more big guys on this team?
Who?
I don't know.
There you go.
I mean, you could go after some young guys.
Who?
I don't know.
Okay, well, see, that's not exactly how this works. You don't get to just say something and go, I don't know. Shaquille O'Neal and Patrick Ewing. I don't know.
Stop that.
There's really not a lot.
There's nobody. There's no young defenders that you can put on this team other than Bam Adebayo.
Name them. See, that's the problem, is that they did this and went, well, we might want to have big guys, but who?
Well, we don't have any.
DeAndre Ayton, they can't play for America. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of big guys that are not going to be liabilities offensively.
Yeah, because most of the big guys that you could bring in aren't from here.
Well, they either play offense or defense. That's the bad thing about so many big guys is that you're either real good, you're good at one and lackluster at the other in large part. Mm-hmm. Speaking of lackluster, Conor McGregor's response to the last few days since his leg-breaking incident at UFC 264 has been lackluster at best. Conor McGregor says he went into last weekend's MMA trilogy against Dustin Poirier with multiple stress fractures in his left leg, the same leg that broke in the final seconds of the opening round. McGregor posted a video on social media in which he said, I was injured going into the fight. People are asking me, when was the leg broke? At what point did the leg break? Ask Dana White, ask the USC, ask Dr. Jeff Davidson, the head doctor of the UFC. They knew I had stress fractures in my leg going into that cage. It was debated about pulling the thing out. Here's the thing. I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, why are you saying that? What is the purpose of that? The leg broke. That's it. Everything he's done since this fight has made him look. I don't even know the word I'm wanting to say here.
Oh, look like a
petty. Petty's the word. That's the word.
Right.
It's made him look very petty.
That's a whole lot of CYA stuff. It's all like, it's not my fault. They knew the risks when they were getting into this. Like, who's blaming you? Is anybody out there blaming Conor McGregor for breaking his leg? No. But I think he feels that way. He feels like he's getting a whole lot of crap right now with people basically burying his career. I don't remember who it was the other day, but one of the big talking heads in the sports media was saying, this is done. He's over. He's out. And he should just go ahead and retire right now.
Well, that's not ever how this goes.
No.
Ever. And he can still draw.
Mm-hmm. And he's going to.
I got into a back and forth the other day with, and I'm not going to give they're a rather popular person that does what we do. Mm-hmm. They kept trying to tell me that the Charles Oliveira Dustin Poirier fight's going to draw at the same level that McGregor did, and I went, I have a bridge to sell you. It's oceanfront in Nebraska,
right.
And you can have it for the low price of a whole mess of money.
No, it's not. Name recognition matters. And outside of Conor McGregor, there's not a whole lot of UFC fighters that have that.
No, and you know what that tells me? You're going to see a lot of cards coming up with younger guys trying to do the Jorge Masvidal. You're going to see a lot of, because you've had in the last 4 cards, you've had one really good one, 2 lackluster, and one that was just meh. Mm-hmm. So I have this weird feeling that some of these main card, like the first fight on the main card, guys, you're going to see them try to come out and knock out of the night. Mm-hmm. What can I do to be the guy that trends, that becomes the next star? Because there's so many openings in the sport for that, and there's so many guys that are fantastic that people just don't know about.
Yeah,
they need that moment. It's like Giannis last night. Mm-hmm. You know, they were talking about that block being his finals moment, and everybody needs one of those. Well, that's kind of the same way the UFC is. Jorge Masvidal fought forever. He knocks Ben Askren out in 6 seconds, and then all of a sudden he's the biggest star in MMA. Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of guys are going to be looking for that same spotlight. So, yes, you're going to see a lot. The next few cards, you're going to see several cards that don't necessarily have that high-end name. But I think you're going to see some interesting performances. I'll put it that way.
Okay. So we were talking about the spicy hot takes for the 2021 NFL season, and you're on this kick that Pittsburgh's going to be better than Cleveland.
Yep.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think it probably ends up where Cleveland finishes. I think they're going to win the division. They'll be a 12-win, 13, 12-win team. Baltimore will be right behind them. There'll be a game difference between them. And then Pittsburgh will be back. Maybe a game, maybe 2 games behind both of those guys, or both of those teams.
I'm going to ask you, I'm going to give you a second opportunity to answer the same question that I asked you this morning.
Okay.
Where did they get markedly better? Markedly better. The line is the same 5 dudes.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Mm-hmm. They'll run the ball, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, you added Jadeveon Clowney.
Yes.
You had Olivier Vernon there last year.
Mm-hmm. And so to me, that's going to be a wash.
Olivier Vernon's a better pass rusher. I would say Jadeveon Clowney's better against the run.
I think it might be a little bit better because of Jadeveon Clowney's run stuffing opportunities. John Johnson being added, I think that makes them markedly better at the safety position.
I would say better, not markedly better.
And then adding Troy Hill bolstered the corners.
I like him. I think the hype on him's getting a little ridiculous.
Okay. And maybe he was, because he was in L.A. and he gets a little bit of that shine on him of how good that L.A. defense is.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you the question that I asked you this morning that you didn't have a good answer for.
Yeah.
They won 11 games last year.
Yes.
How many of those were against teams with winning records? It's 3.
It's 3.
And one of them was against the Steelers playing Mason Rudolph.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then. How many games did they lose against teams with winning records?
All of them? Were all 4?
It was 3 of the 6.
Oh, 3.
They're a mediocre team. They're a mediocre. They're an 8-9, 9-8, 10-7 at best team against a good schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at the schedule this year, you don't get. There's not a lot of Jacksonville, Houston, Philadelphia, who, by the way, they played in consecutive weeks last year.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of that. Start with Kansas City, then you get Houston. That's fun. Here's a fun game. Then in order, you go Bears at the Vikings, at the Chargers, Cardinals, Denver. Mm-hmm. Woohoo! Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, New England, Detroit, Baltimore twice. Vegas at Green Bay, Steelers, Cincinnati.
Another year in the Kevin Stefanski system. You got a healthy complement of receivers so far. Odell Beckham Jr. coming back, to me, spikes that up a little bit. But then you have to ask yourself, does it really? Does Odell Beckham Jr. coming back and hopefully being healthy, does that really help out Baker Mayfield?
Baker Mayfield's QBR has been like 8 points lower with Odell Beckham on the field than off.
Mm-hmm. His completion percentage is way worse.
Mm-hmm.
With Odell Beckham Jr. on the field, Baker Mayfield's completion percentage 59.9%. Would you like to take a guess what it is when he's not on the field?
I'd say 65.
Nope. Too low.
Wow.
It's 70.4. He has a 70.4 completion percentage in games without Odell Beckham Jr. Now, is that because he's a diva?
It's a little bit of a biased stat, too, because a lot of the lesser defenses that they played last year were after Beckham got hurt.
Okay.
I've always thought it's a little overblown, how much better he is. He certainly tries to force feed the ball to Odell Beckham.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about that. Anybody that watches this knows that.
Because you have to.
I don't know that you do.
You do. You do to keep him happy.
Well, I mean, and that's the keeping him happy, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue he's not an elite receiver at this point. He's a stereotypical 1,000-yard receiver. I think put it this way, he's more Corey Davis than he is A.J. Brown.
I'd agree with that.
I don't think you cannot agree with that.
Mm-hmm, that's a good statement.
The one way I'm wrong is if Baker Mayfield really just grabs the reins of this offense, says, this is my team, and I don't care if Odell Beckham is pouting. And I get the ball to Rashard Higgins, who I have a good rapport with. I get the ball to Austin Hooper and Harrison Bryant, who I had a pretty good rapport with last year. And Jarvis Landry is the de facto one.
There has to come a gut check moment for me in every football player's life. If you've been a superstar at one point and were the most popular player or one of the most popular players in the NFL, and then you're not that for an extended period of time, there has to be a gut check moment where you realize, okay, I'm not the bee's knees. I'm not the guy that I once was. Now, since 2017 was when Odell Beckham Jr. first had the big injury. Only played 4 games that year. Had the ankle problem. And then he came back and played 12 games the next year. 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. Then he goes to Cleveland, played 16 games, 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns. Last year played 7 games, scored 3 touchdowns. It wasn't anything to write home about. The question is he capable of having that moment where he realizes, now this team made the playoffs last year without me. Do I need to get in line, or should I continue to be this diva character and continue to cause problems and waves within the organization?
The diva's never going away. That's who he is as a person.
I can understand that.
Here's the thing. What made Odell Beckham so great?
His ability to get to the football.
It was the highlight plays. Mm-hmm. The athleticism. Mm-hmm. You've now had 2 serious knee injuries. Just before we go into break, I need to say this. An AFC scout put this out, I guess it was 24 hours ago. Mm-hmm. This is from Bleacher Report. With all the injuries and the production decline, it's a concern. Not sure there's anyone better if he's healthy and in his prime. Play in and play out. Not sure you can line him up and he can dominate a game anymore. And I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I think he's a guy that should be on the field 30 to 40 plays a game. I don't think he's that guy down in and down out anymore. Mm-hmm. Now, if Cleveland does that and you've got Baker and it's a completely run game oriented, I still think you're at best a 10-win team. I think it's the best Cleveland does. I've gone down this schedule backwards and forwards. I've tried to put my orange and brown dog pound glasses on to see where there's going to be wins.
You have those?
No, I borrowed them from somebody that can't spell obscenities right. They sent it to our office with a poo in it. But after the break, I'll tell you what I mean by that.
Okay.
And we have more spicy hot takes, and we haven't told each other these, so you're going to see our responses in live time.
Right. ESPN Asheville 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. It's ESPN Asheville 92.9 FM, 880 AM, 1400. Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene. This hour always brought to you by Ingles. Low prices. Love the savings. We're talking about.
I have a spicy hot take on Baker Mayfield. Oh, we spend entirely too much time together.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
I see Tank Spencer more than I see my wife, and that just leads to comedy gold around this place. So your argument before the break was that his completion percentage is so much better when Odell's off the field.
Yeah.
Why? Why is that? There's a very specific reason for that.
I think it's forcing it.
There it is.
Yeah, forcing the ball.
And I got to give Bob Browning credit. He texted me this during the break. Great listener, love Bob. When Odell's on the field, he tries to do more. He wants to be the push it down the field guy.
Yes.
Well, secret time, that's what he needs to be to live up to the number 1 draft pick status. Mm-hmm. To be a guy that can get you there, you have to be able to push the ball down the field. The days of running it 45 times a game and just playing really good defense, that's done. That's done because you're not going to keep Pat Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. You're not going to keep them down that way. You're just not. And so that's always been my argument. People say, oh, well, Baker, he wins games. He won games in 1 year. He's been 6-10 and 6-9, or not 6-9, 6-7. Other than that,
mm-hmm.
And that's what I think he is, and I think it's what he's going to be again. And I think the Browns are going to let down all of these people that think this team is now some juggernaut because he's got all these pieces around him, which is honestly why I think they're so reticent to pay him.
Could very well be. I mean, I'm not going to pay him until I see him do it. But there again, I mean, last year they took the step into the playoffs, won a playoff game, and now the expectation is at least that. You have to win 2 games in the playoffs now for Cleveland Browns fans to be happy. If he doesn't do that, then maybe they can get out of paying him. I don't really see that happening because regardless of what happens, there's always going to be some excuse for why Baker Mayfield didn't pay off the way they wanted to. But if Baker Mayfield can keep the interceptions down, I mean, he had 21 interceptions year before last. Last year, he only threw 6. If he can improve his completion percentage to 65%,
which I don't think he can, not unless they not unless they just completely take, unless they take the. I'm trying to even think of a quarterback that I can remember this happening with in the last 10 years. There's a lot of them over time. If you just simplify the offense down to screens and crossing routes and you try to win running the ball, I think there's going to be a great Baker awakening this year.
Okay.
Where you play a litany of good defenses and you play from behind. One of the things, and I don't have the stat pulled up in front of me, and I don't remember it specifically, but I remember it was drastic. Mm-hmm. Baker Mayfield is a great quarterback when he's ahead because now you have to stack the box. You got to stack the box because he's got Kareem Hunt and he's got Nick Chubb. When you don't have to do that, he's not the same guy. The completion percentage goes through the floor. The interception numbers go up. And I think you're going to see a lot of that because you can't go down this schedule. Just looking at who they have to play. At Kansas City, you don't have a shot in the world of winning that game.
No.
I look at the Chargers. I don't like your chances there. I don't like your chances at Minnesota. I know you disagree with me.
No, I do disagree.
But at the end of the day, you got to tell me how they're going to cover Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson and stop Dalvin Cook. Mm-hmm. That team is built in a way that Cleveland's not built to stop them. Then you go into Arizona. You're going to get into a shootout with Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
I don't like your chances. I don't like your chances against Pittsburgh, specifically not in Pittsburgh. You got to go to New England and beat them. Mm-hmm. You play Baltimore twice. You got to go to Green Bay. That's a lot of losses that I'm stacking up in a very short order. I'm just telling you, I've tried the best I can with, and being as a lot of people think I hate the Browns. I don't hate the Browns. They've never had any role in my life at all.
Right.
They've been good for an hour. So it's not like I've had a whole lot of time to build up some hatred for you.
You're just tired of the overreactions.
Because it doesn't make any sense. I go back to the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, we got better, so our record has to improve. That's not necessarily true. Mm-hmm. Your schedule went from the 4th easiest in the league to the 9th hardest. So you better have taken a marked step forward just to get back to the 11-5 that you were last year. Yeah. And I don't think you did.
Sports Center's coming up next here on ESPN. Asheville will continue the hot takes on the 2021 NFL season up next.
This is the Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene.
You look at my numbers, I'm balling.
Beer City's best sports talk is on the air. Get involved. Call 252-4348. Tweet the show at Sports Tank ESPN. The Sports Tank. Come get you some of this.
Can't wait.
Welcome back into the Ingles studio. ESPN Asheville 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene. The Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene, brought to you by Wicked Weed Brewing, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. Of course, we're available live or on demand on the iHeartRadio app, and we're talking football. 2021 NFL season getting ready to kick off. We're just 6 days away from the first training camps opening up. We've been going over, just our takes on the season, and Jeremy and I are locked in this battle in the AFC North. We did our AFC North predictions and best worst case scenarios today in the Sportsocracy. You can check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/thesportsocracy. Hit that subscribe button so you'll see all of our content as it comes out, and follow along with us live every weekday morning at 10 in the Wicked Weed studio.
Except tomorrow. Tomorrow's not.
Yes,
because tomorrow's going to be
9.
the great marathon.
That's right. Tomorrow.
We have to do 2 divisions in a day, and they've been averaging an hour and a half apiece.
They have been. I mean, but we're going deep diving on every team in every division, just figuring out what the path is for the season. So we've got all of that up on the channel. You can see every individual episode with the whole division by division. Tomorrow, yes, we're going to start at 9 o'clock in the morning with our final 2 divisions in the NFL. But the individual videos, team by team, going up on the Sportsocracy page as we speak. Now, for the 2021 season, I feel like we can talk about Cam Newton was in on Key J and Z this morning, and he was talking about he doesn't have any problem with the Mac Jones pick. He knows the Mac Jones pick was the right pick to make. He's saying all the right things, and he knows that his days are numbered. If he doesn't perform, it's time to put the rubber to the road. Put the foot on the gas, last-ditch effort to save his NFL career. I don't think he can do it. I don't think Cam Newton is going to win this starting job with the New England Patriots. I think they go Mac Jones day one.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to not do that.
It hurts Cam Newton's legacy. And I think that's what everybody is hinging on right now, is that if this happens and Cam Newton gets benched before the season starts, it's going to hurt his legacy.
There's no benched in this.
Oh, they're going to outright cut him?
Well, if he's not the starter, he doesn't make the team. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't make any sense. You don't carry, and I said this last year, and I'll be 100% honest with you, I think if they'd had a full camp, he may or may not have been the starter last year. I heard a lot out of New England about Jared Stidham. Mm-hmm. Well, Mac Jones is they have much more invested in Mac Jones. They think this team is a competitor right now. And my spicy hot take on New England, I cannot believe I'm about to say this.
Okay.
If Mac Jones starts week 1, you tell me he plays 17 games. I've looked at this schedule very deep divey. They're 10-7 with Mac Jones.
Okay.
This team's just built to do what he does. No, they don't have the deep threat. It's a lot of Jacoby Myers, Nelson Aguilar, who, by the way, will never convince me that his best year's in a dome in Vegas. You're going to put him in the cold, windy conditions of Foxborough, and he's not going to resort back to what he was in Philadelphia.
Right.
But what do I know? I'm not the one that hands out the checks.
Mm-hmm. And Kendrick Bourne.
I think it's going to be a lot of short, intermediate passing game. Mm-hmm. Don't turn the ball over. Mm-hmm. Stay within yourself. And Damian Harris is going to run a ton.
Yep.
Now, the spicy part of this, if you conversely tell me Cam Newton starts 17 games for this team, they're 6-11.
6-11.
Mm-hmm.
That's a marked difference. And you're talking about a rookie versus a veteran.
Mm-hmm. A rookie that didn't get a ton of snaps in college either.
Right.
He was a starter for 1 year.
I don't know, before the Mac Jones thing even came into the realm, New England was drafting too low. Remember, we were talking about all the quarterbacks, and everybody was going to be gone in the first 5 picks, and there was not going to be a quarterback there available for the New England Patriots. They built this team to try to play into the fact that Cam Newton can't really sling it. I think they were keeping that was the idea, was to keep everything on a short field.
You're talking about the way they're built right now.
Right.
I disagree with you.
With the 2 tight ends and with these receivers, everybody's built to play short. There's no field stretcher here except for Kendrick Bourne is probably the only one you have, right?
And here would be my argument to that. So you signed 2 tight ends that neither block very well for Cam Newton. What's the word I can use here? Baloney. I don't buy it at all. Because it doesn't make any sense. And people say, oh, he was so good with Greg Olsen. Yeah, Greg Olsen was a complete tight end. Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry are not. They're both receiving move tight ends. Mm-hmm. What does that tell you? What do you... All right, so I'm going to get a little X and O with football here. When you use move tight ends, why do you do that?
Why?
because it tips off what the defense is doing. It's a lot like the same reason you motion slot receivers, because when the receiver moves, the defense has no choice but to tip their hand. Now, they can check out, they can do a lot of things. If you're with move tight ends, it's closer to the ball. So it's not like they're going all the way across the formation. They're going from in line to in the slot, or whatever the case may be. As soon as they move, it makes it much easier for a rookie quarterback to assess what the defense is doing. And so Mac Jones, who is one of the biggest knocks on him, is lack of snaps, going from Alabama where he had all this talent. At the end of the day, he was still coached very well, and he worked very hard, and he's a very accurate quarterback. So you use these two move tight ends to make things easier on him. And Nelson Aguilar, who plays in the slot. Another thing that makes it easier on a quarterback. Those are two of a quarterback's best friends.
You think he's still going to play in the slot, though?
100%.
I mean, that's where Jacoby Myers played most of his snaps last year.
No doubt he's still going to play in the slot.
Okay.
He's just better there. Now, can they put him outside sometimes? Absolutely. Kendrick Bourne will play on the outside some as well. I don't think you're going to see a ton of 4 wide receiver sets with this team. This is going to be a lot of 12 personnel. We line up with 2 running backs and a tight end and go. Or 2 tight ends. With 2 tight ends, 2 running backs, and a wide receiver, and just go. And I look at this team, I've looked at the schedule, and if Mac Jones starts against Miami in New England, I'll take New England. Because the one way you can pick on Miami, their corners are great. Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, that's about as good of a cornerback tandem as you'll see in the NFL.
Yeah.
Where they're a little less ideal is tight ends. Safeties on the backside. You give me Brian McCann all you want to. I did that so many times when we were talking about the Dolphins in the offseason. I don't want to open that can of worms again.
Well, he was a catcher in baseball.
Now you got me. Is it Bryce McCann?
No.
Is it Brian McCann? What is it?
Yeah, the catcher for the Braves was Brian McCann.
Now I can't read. Now you've thrown me off with a baseball.
I've really confused you here.
Yeah, you have, because now I have to Google it because I'm second guessing myself. Anyway, the place you can attack them is with tight ends and running the ball. I don't think they're going to be a great run defense.
I don't see a Brian McCann on this roster.
Now I can't remember the name of it. Who was I talking about? It'll come to me eventually.
Brandon Jones?
No.
Brian Cole.
I don't know.
It's the only Brian I see.
To be honest with you, at this point you got me so thrown off. I don't know who I was talking about. But right now, the starting safeties of the Dolphins are Eric Rowe and Javon Holland. Javon Holland was a corner in college. He's played some safety, but I don't necessarily know how comfortable he's going to feel right there. Early, especially early. And you look at, they don't have exactly the most athletic linebackers. So if you tell me I could pick them apart with Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, simplify the game, I like that setup for New England. And they have a couple more games like that. If you tell me that I can put 7 in the box, because I have no fear of Cam Newton, none, then you can't get the running game off the ground, you can't get Damian Harris going. Now all of a sudden I look at this and go, okay, you're going to have to win a lot of very low-scoring games.
Right.
You're going to have to win a lot of 17-14 games. And I don't like it. I think New England will be better with Mac Jones. And if he starts from day one, which I do believe he will, I look at them as that's a borderline playoff contender.
I would agree with you. I think they will be better with Mac Jones than with Cam Newton. I just don't know about 10 wins. I get that this defense, looking at the defense, it looks like it is a Bill Belichick defense. Don't have major stars outside of Stephon Gilmore. You just got to have a lot of guys that do the little things really well.
Bobby McCain, that's who I was thinking of. He signed with the Washington football team. Good gracious, that was about to drive me nuts.
Bobby McCain.
Why did I say Brian McCann?
I don't know, because he's not Bobby McCain. Nobody knows who Bobby McCain is.
Bobby McCain was the safety for the Dolphins.
Oh,
he's going to be a safety for Washington.
The only person that knows
my wires there.
The only people that knew that were actual Miami Dolphin fans.
Yeah, Brian Hall was probably screaming, "It's Bobby McCain!"
Unfortunately, he's on vacation this week and probably didn't hear you say that.
Yeah,
Normally, he would run down the hallway and correct you.
Yeah, he would have thrown it up on my screen like, hey, this is going to drive you nanners. I'll go ahead and tell you.
I don't know if they can get to 10 wins, regardless of who's their quarterback. I do believe that the New England Patriots will be better, though, with Mac Jones rather than Cam Newton. I think this one. I think this one might rankle you a little bit.
Oh no!
My prediction is that the Las Vegas Raiders will be the last team in their division. The Denver Broncos will finish ahead of them in the division.
You just do these things to make me angry.
I know Derek Carr's your little boyfriend and you like him so much. I get that he hasn't had great receivers to throw to outside of Amari Cooper.
He hasn't had good receivers to throw to. He's
Outside
had
of
nothing
Amari
to
Cooper.
throw to. The leading receiver on that team for an entire year was Andre Holmes.
Right. And now they have Henry Ruggs and Brian Edwards. And to me, it's just a whole bunch of unproven guys. The guy that I trust, I think, the most in their wide receiver core is Hunter Renfrow. Not the outfielder for the Red Sox. The other Hunter Renfrow.
I'm going to make a sweeping declaration about your Broncos.
Yeah.
Because you've spoken very swimmingly of the Broncos.
I have.
They may very well start 3-0 and not win another game until the end of November.
Schedule doesn't really lend for them to get a bunch of wins. Is that what you're saying?
Put it this way. They start at the Giants, at the Jaguars versus the Jets. They're going to lose one of those 3 games. Which one it is, I could not tell you. They're not going to start 3-0.
Okay.
They could. I don't think they will. Mm-hmm. Then they, in order, go Ravens, Steelers, Raiders, Browns, Washington football team at the Cowboys, Eagles, Chargers, Chiefs before they get the Lions and the Bengals. They may not win one of those games. Specifically, if the Philadelphia Eagles wind up with Deshaun Watson, which, by the way, I'd be remiss if I didn't point this out.
Oh, is this coming back to...
Adam Schefter tweeted it yesterday.
Did he really?
He said, I don't think Deshaun Watson plays another game with the Houston Texans, and the team waiting to swoop in is the Philadelphia Eagles. And you know what I did immediately? I said that a month and a half ago!
And then you also went, I just said that's not going to happen. It's too late in the schedule. You said that not 24 hours ago.
I did. I did, but apparently there's disagreement.
And
apparently there's disagreement that it's too late in the schedule.
I'll be honest with you, it should be. He should be an option on the table for the Philadelphia Eagles right now. I get that he's got problems. I get that he's dealing with stuff. But that is a lottery ticket that you should definitely take a gamble on. Because what happens? What happens if everything gets settled and it all gets buried?
Yeah,
I mean, he is... All in all, he is still a celebrity in America, folks, and it tends to go that way for them, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned I said the Deshaun Watson thing yesterday.
Yeah.
So when you put the podcast out, there are a lot of people that do what we do that, I listen to their show, they listen to our show. I got a text yesterday, and it probably wasn't 20 minutes after you put the podcast out, that said, yeah, you remember that? Don't back off the Deshaun Watson thing.
Yeah.
We're not there. And that's when the person that sent it to me sent me a tweet that was Adam Schefter on his podcast saying, don't rule out Deshaun Watson in Philadelphia.
All right.
I was like, well, okay, back to where I was. Second verse, same as the first.
Right. I don't know. Again, I'm going to say it, the Denver Broncos to me are a team that has everything except for that quarterback.
And see, that's the thing, is that you keep doing that.
I do.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What did they not have last year that they all of a sudden have this year? I get it's Von Miller. They still had a pass rush. Mm-hmm.
So what's you added Kyle Fuller?
Okay. The secondary wasn't terrible last year.
No, it wasn't.
And you like Kyle Fuller better than I do. I mean, I think he's fine, but you make him sound like Champ Bailey, and I think it's ridiculous.
I mean, he's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, he's on his third team. Just throwing that out there. Mm-hmm. And Pro Bowler means virtually nothing because about the first 8 usually turn it down. So
Brad Johnson was a Pro Bowler.
And Brad Johnson deserved to be a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Love Brad.
Of course.
Brock Osweiler was almost a Pro Bowler. Just always remember that.
I'm just saying he's always going to be on that list of quote unquote the worst quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I can't agree with you on this Broncos take.
Well, see, this is my whole thing: is teams can win without a quarterback. Or without
Name
a
'em.
great quarterback. We
Name
have
'em.
seen it through time.
Name them.
Okay. Well, you got to go back a ways.
Yeah.
Is that your point?
100% that's my point. Yeah, name one in the last 10 years.
Right.
I'll wait.
I mean, because you got to go Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer. I don't know, you can go back to 1969 to the New York Jets.
Joe Namath was a Hall of Famer. Don't you speak that slander on this show.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe Namath was a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. And by the way, notice that every reference you just gave me started with 19. Mm-hmm. Much different game today.
Mm-hmm. I even throw Doug Williams in there.
That's you're just talking about a completely different era. I'm talking about right now. Mm-hmm. Name me a team in the last 10 years that's won more than 9 games with a below average quarterback. As a matter of fact, I'll go one step further. Bad. You have a bad quarterback. Mm-hmm. The Denver Broncos have the worst quarterback situation in the NFL, and it's not even debatable.
I don't agree with that. I think the Houston Texans are on that list.
They have Deshaun Watson. Until they don't, they have Deshaun Watson. That's not even debatable. I'll be 100% honest with you. If you told me they didn't have Deshaun Watson and it was Tyrod Taylor, it ain't that far off.
No, it's not that far off, but I still think that's worse than Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock.
It's not by a lot. It is not by a lot.
Okay.
It doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. It's so important. You have to be able to score points. Mm-hmm. And just think about this. The Chicago Bears have had one of the best defenses in the NFL for half a decade. They live at 9-7, 8-8, 7-9. Mm-hmm. Why? Because a good offense will beat a good defense 100 times out of 100 in the NFL now. 100 times out of 100. And before anybody says, oh, well, Tampa Bay beat Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Yeah, and Kansas City's offense was horrible in that game. Horrid.
Because
Pat Mahomes lived on his back, and it wasn't like you weren't scoring points.
That's true.
I mean, it's not like this was a grinded out 6-3 old school football game. You won 31-9.
Right.
It's the way the league is officiated. Mm-hmm. It's the way the league is built. Mm-hmm. Teams with bad quarterbacks do not win, in large part.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying the Denver Broncos are any kind of Super Bowl contender or anything like that. All I'm saying is I think they can be the third best team in their division.
I disagree with you. I think the Las Vegas Raiders are clearly the third best team in that division.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, spicy. I won't be shocked if they're the second best team in that division. I could see a path. They're better than the Chargers.
I can't.
Oh, I see the path. You have a lot of injury-prone guys on that Chargers team. Mm-hmm. A lot. Mm-hmm. I don't try to forecast injuries, and I hope they don't because I love half this team.
Right.
I see the path. To me, the Raiders are closer to the Chargers than the Broncos are to the Raiders.
That doesn't.
Well, it doesn't fit your narrative, so of course you
narrative. So I'm not in on that. No, I just don't. I don't believe in the Raiders, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Binky. I know you're listening. He's the big Raiders fan. I don't really like your team. Not going to be one of the worst teams in the league, but I do think there's a chance
said that repeatedly.
Just
not on this show. I just figured out why you haven't said it on this show too.
No,
because one of your favorite listeners is a Raiders fan.
No, I don't believe they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. They're not going to be one of those 4-win teams. I don't think they're going to be all that much better than that, though.
I do.
You're in the Sports Tank here on ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. Pernicious, adjective, having a harmful effect, especially in a gradual or subtle way. Now, Wicked Weed's flagship IPA, winner of a silver medal at the U.S. Open Beer Championships, isn't harmful unless you're a competing IPA. Brewed in the mountains of western North Carolina, Pernicious IPA will destroy your expectations for all others in its class. Pernicious IPA inspires you to enjoy fresh and often. Order up at wickedweedbrewing.com. Wicked Weed, the official craft beer of East Tennessee State University Athletics. Drink different, drink responsibly. Oh, it's ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene, and we've been placing personal wagers between us on several things so far in the run-up to the 2021 NFL season here. And one of the things that I'm still stuck on that you said the other day was that you think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to be better than the New Orleans Saints?
I could easily see a path to that, yeah. The Saints are so thin.
Yeah.
If you tell me Taysom Hill's the starter, I'll guarantee it right now. Because I don't think Atlanta's going to miss Julio Jones as much as people think they will. No. Kyle Pitts is going to be Julio Jones. He's not playing as an inline tight end. It's not happening.
Okay.
He's going to be a glorified number one wide receiver for them, which makes Ridley the 2. I like Mike Davis. That's one guy. If I say his name, I want to say his name every day until every fantasy draft has been done.
Because he's going too low?
It makes me so angry to watch how low I get him. And then I laugh and go, oh yeah, this is competitive. I think the Falcons are better. I think the Falcons and the Saints are close. I'll put it that way. The Saints are playing a division winner schedule. The Falcons are playing the worst team in their division schedule. Mm-hmm. And I think the Falcons, with Arthur Smith, are better than people think they are.
Right. And I guess it's just everybody's expecting at some point the downslide is going to come for Matt Ryan. Calvin Ridley, even though, last year I thought he was fantastic. Last year, I think he can be a number one in this league. Do you disagree with that?
Calvin Ridley?
Yeah.
He can be. I think he's going to play as the 2, which makes me like him a lot. Mm-hmm. Because Kyle Pitts is borderline impossible to stop. And I think they're going to stick him out wide. I think you're going to say, because Hayden Hurst's still on this team. Yeah. They're going to use him as the tight end, and you'll see all these quote unquote 2 tight end sets. And then here goes Kyle Pitts in motion, like, okay, you're going to put your slot guy on him? Yeah. Oh, okay, let's do that. I'm all the way in for that.
I've heard of positionless basketball, but positionless football?
If anybody could do it, is it not Arthur Smith?
Yeah.
A guy that made Ryan Tannehill look like one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the league? Mm-hmm. I absolutely think that's the guy that can do that. By the way, if you told me the 5 worst teams in the NFL going into this year, the Falcons play 4 of them. Okay. The only one they miss is the Houston Texans. They play the Eagles, they play the Giants, they play the Jets, they play the Jaguars, they play the Lions, then they get the Saints twice, who I don't think that much of.
Right. You putting the Giants in that category?
The Giants are not good.
How bad do you think they are, though?
I always forget this. What is their quarterback? Oh, yeah, Daniel Jones. Yeah, as long as Daniel Jones is... as long as Danny not so many dimes is their quarterback, yeah, I'm fine. I'll pass.
No, I look for him to have a better year this year.
Well, he couldn't be much worse.
But with Kenny Golladay coming onto the scene, I think that that offense is going to be better. Saquon coming back off of the injury.
You can line up every sports car in the world in that parking lot. Doesn't change the fact I can't drive it.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about the New York Giants.
Okay.
Daniel Jones has all these beautiful cars lined up, and he cannot drive a stick shift.
Right.
Anybody that turns the ball over that much, yeah, I'll pass.
But he's still young. He's got a chance. He's got a chance to make that third-year leap.
Yeah, I'm out. How many quarterbacks in your lifetime have you ever looked at and gone, you don't look like you belong in the NFL? The answer is 1, and I've already said his name in this segment, is Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
And that's because he had Adam Gase, my favorite person in the whole world.
Mm-hmm. But I can't see it with the Atlanta Falcons. I can't see them being better than New Orleans because, again, I've already made up my mind on how that's going to go in New Orleans this year. Jameis is going to come be the starter of that team, and he is going to be, as he says in our open to every hour, balling.
Okay, he was 7-9 with Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard, Mike Evans.
Yeah.
You think he's going to be markedly better than that with Michael Thomas and me?
I think he can be.
I don't.
You think he's going to continue to throw 20 to 30 interceptions a year?
It's who he is. That's who he is. Mm-hmm. He didn't throw interceptions because he couldn't see. That probably didn't help anything. He makes bad decisions. I watched him for 3 years at Florida State. Uh-huh. The decision-making is not great.
Oh, I know that. You can't tell me anything
So
I don't.
So you take away the weapons and you think he's going to be good, Jameis? No. I think he's going to put up fantasy stats. Mm-hmm. I think he'll be a great fantasy football quarterback. Probably throws 4,500 yards.
Yep.
Probably going to throw 25 interceptions, too.
Really?
And he's still better than Taysom Hill.
Well, we know that.
No, I look at New Orleans' schedule and just go, good gracious, there is not a 2-week period in this where you don't play somebody that I think is going to beat you senseless.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the same thing I just said about the Falcons. Yeah, they play the Giants, too. You want to know what's on both sides of that? At the Patriots, at the Washington football team. Good luck. Oh, you get the Eagles. On each side of that, at the Titans and the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. You get the Jets. That one's in New York, too, by the way, which this team does not play well outside and they never have.
Right.
On each side of that, Cowboys at the Buccaneers. Woof. They don't play two non-playoff teams in a row. The entire schedule.
Yeah.
And you have no second receiver. No, I'm not. I am. The Saints are one of those teams I've tried to say all offseason. They're not as good as people think they are. Stop betting the over on the wins. Vegas is trying to tell you. It's not going to be good.
Okay.
On the weird scale, there's Vegas, there's Florida, and there's Asheville. Let's get weird, Asheville.
And let's get weird. Let's let Jeremy go. Give us something weird. You don't like my stories anyway.
No, I don't, because your stories tend to be gross. So I will sample the gross story, and mine doesn't hold a candle to the ones you usually tell.
Okay.
We've talked about weird foods on this show a lot lately. Tank apparently eats anything that moves.
Yep.
If it can walk, Tank will eat it.
Sure.
Whether it's a raccoon or a squirrel or a goat, he'll just eat it. Well, I found something new that's equally gross that you'll probably eat. Brooklyn-based Van Leeuwen ice cream has turned out a new flavor, and it sold so well that it shut their website down for 6 hours yesterday.
Okay.
Would you like to hear what that flavor is?
Yeah, first off, I'm going to warn you, don't ruin ice cream with weird flavors.
Yeah.
When it comes to ice cream, I'm out on the experimenting.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. This is the buttered popcorn jelly bean of ice creams.
I love the buttered popcorn jelly beans. That's my favorite.
What is wrong with you?
It's my favorite Jelly Belly.
That's the grossest thing ever created until what I'm getting ready to say.
I love it so much. My wife, even when she goes to one of those stores, she buys me a bag of the buttered popcorn because it's my favorite.
Mm-hmm. It tastes like sweat. What is wrong with you?
It's not.
It
tastes like sweet butter, and I'm a fat guy, and I love sugar, and I love butter.
If you had told me the first time I ate one of those that was sweat flavored, I would have gone, yeah, that's exactly what it tastes like. The new ice cream flavor is Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Nope.
And it's yellow and looks like cheese in ice cream form, and it is making my stomach turn.
Good, it should.
It sold so many containers on the launch day, it shut their website down for 6 hours.
Gosh.
Who is buying this? What person is sitting there with their little Kraft single, which is lovely. Those are wonderful. You're wrong. It's the number one selling macaroni and cheese in the world. Yeah, it tastes like feet.
Everybody else is wrong.
Yeah, just you. The goat connoisseur over here has got macaroni and cheese down. The Kraft macaroni, that single is wonderful. You throw a little water in it, you put it in the microwave, it makes your noodles, you throw some cheese on top of it, you spin it together, and you have macaroni and cheese. That's wonderful.
Yeah, if you add cheese to it.
No, you don't have to do that. Use the yellow sauce packet, which, by the way, is exactly what this ice cream looks like. It looks like vanilla ice cream that somebody churned with the cheese packet. Mm-hmm. And that is gross.
It is gross.
It's gross.
Macaroni and cheese ice cream. Stop that.
Darren Ravel has been all about this. He sampled it and said it's amazing. I don't see a humanly possible way that this doesn't taste exactly how it tastes in my brain.
Uh-huh. It tastes like the cheese packet.
Yeah. It tastes like the cheese packet mixed with ice cream, which is weird. Stop doing weird things.
First off, cold mac and cheese is gross. Regardless of what flavor, regardless of how it was prepared. Second off, stop it with the box mac and cheese, people. Stop being lazy.
Box mac and cheese is fine.
Oh, it's awful.
Box mac and cheese with chicken nuggets is tremendous, and I would eat it every day of my life, and I would be just fine.
Ugh, I can't do it. Because it tastes fake. That's the thing I've always hated about that macaroni and cheese. It tastes fake.
You know, there's not many things in the years we've been doing this that gets you to that you can say that make me make the Michaela Maroney face, but you just did it. Like, you just did it. Like,
Right.
Wait a minute.
Well,
so
'cause
you're telling me you
'cause
don't like things that taste fake, but you'll eat a gas station hot dog?
It doesn't taste fake. It tastes just like any other hot dog.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Oh, yes,
then
it
you've
does.
never had a good hot dog, because that, and I don't even have to taste it to know. I can look at it and go, that thing has been on that roller since, I'm going to go, Tuesday of 9 weeks ago.
Well, you got to be able to how to identify the good ones. You don't take the ones that are all wrinkly because they've been on there for a while. You got to take the ones that are still plump and tight.
I just realized that I'm having a culinary delicacy conversation with somebody who just said the buttered popcorn jelly bean is the best one.
It's my favorit. I didn't.
You
I
can
didn't
say
you have
you
to
could have
like
said
it.
the licorice one, and I would have gone, "Oh, you're gross and you're weird."
That's
and,
number 2.
Oh, what is wrong with you? Why do you hate your taste buds? You just assault them on a daily basis. You put weird
Top
things
5.
in chicken salad. Stop it.
I put the grapes in the chicken salad for my wife
Stop doing
because
that.
she likes it.
Stop doing that.
Why?
No.
I
You
married
have-
this woman and I have to keep her happy.
And that's fine. If she wants grapes and chicken salad, tell her to get some grapes and eat them on the side. Don't put grapes and chicken salad. It's weird.
Right. I brought in a whole bunch of chicken salad into the studio one day. I was like, you can have some if you'd like. I have plenty to share. But there are grapes in it. And he went, nope. Good.
No, chicken salad's very easy. It's chicken and salad. And you know what salad is?
Mayonnaise.
That's in America, we turn things into a salad by adding copious amounts of Duke's mayonnaise, and I'm okay with that.
In America or the South?
Both. I mean, I feel like they eat chicken salad in places other than the South.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's delicious. And if you put raisins in it, I'm calling the cops on you, because they need to investigate you for something, because you're weird and you make bad decisions and you've done crimes at some point. No,
don't do that.
and don't put nuts in it either. None of those things belong. Stop trying to make everything artisanal and using truffle oil, which is gross. Okay, that's gross.
Truffle oil.
It's gross. Oh, it's fancy. No, it's gross. There's a difference.
Some truffle oil flavored jelly beans. How about that? Okay, what's
I found out what a truffle was the other day. You people are weird. Stop eating gross things.
Were you talking about the mushrooms?
Yeah, well, they grow like in the ground, and like pigs find them.
That's where mushrooms come from.
And I don't eat mushrooms, do I?
Oh, that's true. You don't. I
That's
forget
the
about
grossest
that.
thing on planet Earth. The fact people will look at a good piece of steak and go, "Hey, you know what'd make this better? If we
Mushrooms.
put some fungus on it. That'd make it great. Let's put some squishy, weird things that made Mario get bigger. That'll make the steak delicious."
And it does. It improves.
No, it doesn't.
improves
It's
yes.
gross. It is gross. I have sent food back in a restaurant one time in my life because I am hardcore team don't send food back. First of all, because service industry people have a much more difficult job than I do. I am not that picky, in spite of what people that listen to the show would think.
Agreed.
I'm just not doing it. I did get a steak in a restaurant one time, and I went, I can't do it. Like,
Why? It was under?
Because it's got the things on it.
Oh, it's got mushrooms.
It's
on
got
it.
I can't do that. Frankly, if you want to take this to somebody else, I have
Right.
not touched it. You can. Somebody else can eat this. They will get their food before me.
Yeah.
I'll eat something. I don't care. There are very few things that I just am steadfast that are food. Now, you come up with things like, that you hit with your car, and you go, "Hey, throw some salt and butter on it. It'll be fine."
Adds a little spice to life.
I adamantly want to do it. I want to do it. Like, if there's a restaurant out there
Yeah.
that just wants to sponsor two fat guys coming in and doing videos of your food, feel free to send me a message at Jay Greene ESPN, because it could be some of the most hilarious things you ever see in your life. But just make sure you have some chicken nuggets and mac and cheese on the side for me. It could be
Right.
boxed. I don't care.
You got to make sure that the 5-year-old is taken care of.
I'm really not that picky. It's just I'm partnered with somebody that
I'm not picky at all. That's the problem.
No, you're gross. But you're not picky at all, but you won't eat condiments on a cheeseburger. Or not? No. You're not condiments. You're
Pickles.
Pickles.
I will eat the pickles on a hamburger. I just prefer them not to be there. And if I do get the hamburger with the pickles on it, I will open it up and I will eat the pickles off of it and then close it back up. I don't know. It's just something about. I think it's because my teeth don't bite all the way through them, and so or bite into it and it pulls out when you take the bite. That's the thing I don't like. I don't think my teeth are as sharp as they're supposed to be.
One day, somebody probably that can hear the sound of my voice right now is going to have to do an autopsy on me. Mm-hmm. I'll save you the time. It was an aneurysm from things he says. It just developed over time because that is the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard in my life. Because I've watched you eat pickles out of the jar. Mm-hmm. But you don't like them on a cheeseburger, which is where they belong.
Nope. Love the spears. You go to the sandwich shop, you get your sandwich or your burger from the sandwich shop, and they have the pickle spear that's wrapped up in a separate bag. Love it. Just don't want it sliced up on my sandwich. And I don't understand why that makes me weird.
He'll eat goat, but pickle on a cheeseburger is a deal breaker.
It's not. Again, I'm not that picky. If I had my druthers, they wouldn't be on the sandwich.
If I had my druthers, you wouldn't eat food. It's not food!
Anyway, let's get back to the football.
I'm so ready for football season. So. You know what's funny? And I don't know if this is a universal belief, but when we go on these weird tangents, I get more response to that than anything we say. We do all of this in-depth football research, in spite of the fact I did say a catcher for the Yankees played safety for the Dolphins earlier. Didn't mean to. Got confused. Mm-hmm. And I've gotten like 40 messages on our conversation of food, and most of them are, you don't eat mushrooms? No, I don't eat mushrooms. They're gross. They're squishy and gross.
And they grow on the ground, God forbid, just like every other vegetable you eat.
I love vegetables. Mm-hmm. Mushrooms, not a vegetable. It's not. I don't care what you call it.
Okay,
I don't care.
Since we're on the radio, you couldn't see the look that I just shot him, but that was oh wait.
It was the Michaela Maroney look. He just gave it back to me. It's not a vegetable. It's gross. It goes into a different food group, the gross food group. It's with that goat and truffle oil you were talking about earlier.
I think one of the teams that I'm highest on in the NFL in 2021 has to be the San Francisco 49ers. I think now that I feel like I almost said Mac Jones, and that's not the one I meant. The Trey Lance train here has kind of the hype train has backed off a bit. I think everybody's coming around to, you know what, it would be a good idea. Let's just go. Let's have Jimmy Garoppolo guide this team through. I did not realize. I mean, of course, we all know how decimated with injuries they were last year, but I did not realize
it's worse than most think.
Right. How many games total across the roster were missed last year?
Oh, it's staggering.
It's 166.
It was 100 on the offense.
166 games missed last year. And some people will say, well, you had guys that had to be ruled out because of COVID. Everybody had problems with guys missing games last year. Sure. Okay. You want to take COVID out of the equation? You want to know how many games were missed across that San Francisco 49ers roster when you don't include the games that were missed because of COVID? 161. The injuries absolutely decimated San Francisco, and that's why I am a big believer in they are going to right the ship. Last year was an aberration, and there's zero chance that they even scratch the surface of something like that. By the way, do you know who the second team was in that list of games missed last year because of injuries?
The L.A. Chargers.
No, it was the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, wow.
And so I told you, 161 games was what was missed by the San Francisco 49ers crew. Philadelphia was second, and they missed 126 games. Now, they were killed last year. Another reason that I'm a big believer in Carson Wentz and his rebirth in Indianapolis this year.
As well, you should be.
but that's a marked jump. San Francisco may have had the worst luck of any team in history last year. I don't see that happening. And I am starting to come around on, I think they might take this division. And you know how much I love the Rams. But I'm starting to believe that if they can knock that down by, and maybe be around the median of the league, which was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 65 games that were missed by guys. I think San Francisco is on their path, possibly to a Super Bowl. And that took a lot for me to say, seeing as how they're going to have to get through my team to get to the Super Bowl. But it is a very real possibility. Do you concur?
I like San Francisco. There's just a lot of injury questions that I still have.
With Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, who else on that team scares you?
I mean, Garoppolo scares me.
Well, that's true. I know. For some reason, I wasn't even thinking about him.
It's hard for me to push the chips to the table on a team that was that decimated by injuries. Because usually there's a reason for that. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm not trying to slight anybody. It's just that was and I don't think it's going to be that bad again. It's just you've got a series of guys here that have injury issues. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I like San Francisco. I think everybody is. I'm more confident in the Cardinals than I am the 49ers because I don't have injury fears with them. Mm-hmm. I have a coach fear with them. Mm-hmm. But I would, if I had to put futures wagers and things like that on a team, it would be the Cardinals, not the 49ers.
You're in the Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene here on ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. When we come back for the break, let's talk about this. First coach to get fired in 2021. Who's it going to be? Will some team have to change coaches mid-season? We'll find out who Jeremy thinks it is coming up next. It's ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. And there's some coaches right now in the NFL on the hot seat. And it may be to a point where at some point during the middle of the season, one of these teams has to make a call on somebody's got to go now. Jeremy, you rung the bell when I said it. Who do you think is the coach that finds his way on the unemployment line mid-season?
Well, the odds are out. The two favorites, one of them I completely understand and one of them I don't.
Okay.
Mike McCarthy is the favorite to be fired.
The favorite?
At plus 750, which is stupid. That's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. Now, the one he's tied with is very much who I think gets fired.
Let me guess. Zach Taylor.
Nope. Zach Taylor is 7th.
Stupid.
They always tied for 6th. Him and Cliff Kingsbury are tied.
That's stupid. Spoiler alert. My guy to get fired mid-season is going to be Zach Taylor.
Not mine.
Who's yours?
Mine's Vic Fangio.
You think the Broncos could be that bad that they'll have to bail mid-season?
I see a path to that. I see a path to that where you just get tired of watching it. And you look at the schedule, and there are some. The thing with the Broncos is that they have a path to ending the season on a high note. I look at how the schedule starts and go, there's just a stretch where you could lose so many games that they just tap. And the bye week is in between the Eagles and the Chargers. If they lose to the Eagles, that's where he gets canned, and that's the middle of November. Mm-hmm. I don't see another coach getting fired that early.
Right, because at that point, worst case scenario, they're 2-8.
At the bye week?
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, they're 1-9.
Or 1-9.
Because the only game I feel really sure they're going to win is Jacksonville. They could beat the Giants and the Jets. And if they lose to the Eagles, I don't see a whole lot of. There's not other wins there. And you get to a point where you're like, okay, we got to end on a high note. This is a new regime. He didn't. George Payton did not hire this coach. Mm-hmm. Didn't draft a quarterback, so you're not worried about new systems and things like that. It just screams Vic Fangio to me.
Right.
Matt Nagy buys himself a whole year if he starts Justin Fields week 1. Mm-hmm. That's all he has to do. They will not fire him early if he starts Fields. Now, if he doesn't, they 100% could.
Right.
If he announces a starter for week 1 in the next month, And it's anybody not named Justin Fields.
Yeah,
That becomes my new pick.
To me, the closest guy to getting fired in the NFL right now is Zach Taylor. He's been the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals for 2 years, and he's got 6 wins to his credit.
And the thing you have to remember with Cincinnati, they give guys just all of the time in the world.
I understand, but I think, I don't know, to me at some point you have to realize he's not the guy. It took him how many years to ditch Marvin Lewis?
Marvin Lewis was the best coach in this team's history, and it's not even worth talking about.
I understand, but how many times were they just irrelevant?
Is it better than what they are right now?
Of course
They
it is.
should clamor for Marvin Lewis.
Of course it is. Of course it's better. But how many times did he have, the 7-9, 8-8 season where it wasn't working? And they stuck with that for 15 years. I don't think they're going to make the same mistake twice. I could very well see a path of this season, because there are winnable games opening up the season for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think if he starts out poorly, which is a very real possibility, Zach Taylor's my favorite to get fired mid-season. We'll be with you tomorrow morning in the Sportsocracy. Don't forget, special time start on YouTube tomorrow at 9 a.m. We will finish out our best worst case scenarios for all teams in the NFL.